everybody. Welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. We've been to the nursery to stock up on a bazillion. You can't take Scott to the nursery and get away with much, uh, but
Mm-hmm.
we went to purchase a whole bunch of tomato plants and pepper plants, and basil plants, and so on
Ooh.
and so forth. Anyway, man, we came
Mm-hmm.
home with a car full. So yeah, so then I got to come in and podcast, and he's outside planting plants. So
Oh,
it worked.
handy. This new
Yeah.
time thing is working out in all kinds of ways, isn't it?
Right. Some of them are going in the kitchen garden, which is right next to my house in the front. Most of them are going into the greenhouse. But anyway, yeah, we'll take it. So you go plant those plants.
Right? Absolutely. That we did that a few days ago for our flowers, and Rhonda, well, I helped pick them all out, and then she planted them. Awesome.
Nice.
I like to look at them. I do not. I'm
Hmm.
not good at keeping them alive. It's best if I just stay out of the situation. Rhonda does a great job. She likes to do a little bit of farming here and there in our yard, and I just let her do it
She
because
does.
I don't like farming. Even in my
Yeah.
backyard, just not a fan. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
this is our Thursday live.
yeah.
We have three cases for you today, and let's just get her rolling.
Yeah.
Katie, you have a little WTF news for us.
I do. So we did cover this case a little bit when it first rolled out, but I wanted to give you the wrap up on it and just talk for a minute about the WTF of this freaking case. So this gentleman right here, his name is Michael Meyden.
Mm-hmm.
Michael lives in Oregon. And a while ago, Michael's 11-year-old daughter wanted to have a sleepover.
Oh, yeah.
And she had a parcel of friends sleeping over. And then they had a bunch of plans for the next day that they were all going to do together. Well, the girls, at some point in the evening, Michael told them he wanted to make them all smoothies. And he did make them all smoothies. And some of the girls thought the smoothies were kind of weird. In fact, one of the girls refused it completely. And he was super, super pushy about it, insisting that they drink them all, that they drink their own
Yikes.
and not share or taste each other's, and just acted really weird. And the one girl got super uncomfy and thought something is not okay here.
Yikes.
And so she actually texted her mom and said, "You need to come and get me and just say there's a family emergency." The text said, "Mom, please come pick me up and say we had a family emergency. I don't feel safe. I might not respond, but please come get me," with a crying emoji. "Please, please pick me up. Please, please, please." This was at 2
Oh,
a.m.
oh my God.
Partly because after the girls went to bed, so first they drink the weird smoothies, and some of the girls said that there were tiny white chunks in the smoothies and sprinkled on top of the smoothies, and they tasted weird.
The hell?
So after the other girls went to sleep, the girl who didn't drink her smoothie said that she saw Maiden come in the basement and move one of the friends that was sleeping next to her towards the opposite side of the bed, and also put his finger under the nose of that kid to check her breathing, and then waved a hand in her face to make sure she was sound asleep. So this poor little
This
girl is
is
feeling,
terrifying.
yeah, scared, feeling really weird about what the hell he's doing. So that's when she texts her mom. So mom comes and gets her. She tells her what she experienced. So, or I believe a family friend actually came to get her, and she tells her what they experienced. They get with the other parents. They get the other two girls. They take them to the hospital. They all test positive for benzos.
This is so damn scary.
He drugged all of these girls. Some of the girls reported feeling, after she drank the smoothie, one girl said she felt woozy, hot, and clumsy before she fell into a thick, deep sleep.
Ugh.
So, obviously, that's scary as hell.
Right.
And he was arrested and charged, and he actually pled guilty to 3 counts of giving a controlled substance to another person, essentially. They dropped one of the counts. He was charged with 4. He pled guilty to 3. And the parents spoke. There were several people that spoke at his sentencing a few days ago. And I like this one. Mom said, "No decent parent feels the need to drug their own child and her friends. No decent parent feels the need to go down and confirm children are unconscious. No decent parent puts their hands on drugged and unconscious young girls without nefarious intent."
Right.
One of the victims spoke and said, "My life has been a living hell because of you and your actions. I want you to think of yourself as the monster you are."
Wow.
Another child told him, "You are horrible. You are a rotten old man who did this to children."
Wow.
Uh, the district attorney said Mr. Maiden's actions are inexcusable and reckless and required a punishment commensurate with the crime. The impact this event has had on the child victims, their families, and our community has been enormous. He spoke for 10 minutes.
Of course he did.
Yeah. He said that the sentence came as a product of heavy negotiations between the two sides. It was an outcome that both sides uh, deemed to be fair. The families are saying they wanted a lot more. He got 24 months.
It's not nearly enough.
No.
Because what was the purpose? What was the intent behind all this? You know?
It's a damn good question. They found 5 prescription bottles of the insomnia pills, uh, scales, razor blades, and the tools he used to grind the pills into powder. Like, he had this absolutely planned.
Yeah.
Or he's been doing this before.
Right? That's what I wondered. Is this the first time?
Yeah. In his statement, he said, "My whole life is destroyed. Everything that was important to me up until this point is gone." Oh,
Well,
well.
good, asshole.
One of the victims said, "We were taught adults are people we can trust, people we can go to when we need help or we are scared. Yet adults are not people I can simply trust anymore. They are people who scare me and make me think twice. What if they were to hurt me in the same way as Mr. Meyden? My life has become a living hell because of you and your actions." Yeah.
The fear for those girls. I mean, even and I mean there have been no allegations that he assaulted any of them.
Hmm. No,
But what was
no.
his plan? Why was he doing this? And what was he testing something?
He says that and by the way, the girls were heavily overdosed.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he drugged them, he gave them a lot. The one mom in her statement said, "My daughter is barely 5 feet tall and on a good day 70 pounds soaking wet, and you overdosed her. The drugs in her system were off the charts." He said that they had a lot of fun things planned for the next day, and he didn't just want the girls staying up all night. So he had drugged them to try and get them asleep by 11 o'clock so they would be fresh and awake and ready for all the fun tomorrow.
I mean, what the hell?
Yeah,
Fucking liar. There's no
disgusting.
way. But what, I mean, the way he was checking to see if that girl was dead. I mean, you're checking her breathing? Is
Right.
she still breathing?
Is
You
she
know?
still breathing?
And
Exactly. Like, what in the
and
actual
how did
hell?
they manage to not get assaulted or killed? I mean, it was just kind of a fluke that they
Hmm.
didn't.
Absolutely. Well, because one of the girls refused to drink her smoothie because she thought something
Right.
seemed weird.
Yeah.
And then was
Smart
obviously
girl.
paying it, what a baddie, right? She was paying
Yeah.
attention. She was watching. When she decided that things were definitely not cool, she texted her mom. Like, she really She just went the extra mile in every way. But yeah, very brave of her, very brave of these girls to get on the stand and speak. And yeah, so I'm so glad it sounds like justice was served at least to some degree. I don't think as much as it should have been by any stretch, but at least we got this
No,
far.
because I mean, this guy has not pled guilty to any kind of a charge that would keep him away from children when he is
Right.
released, and he's only going to prison for 2 years. That
Mhm.
is concerning to me. He needs to be on a list, on a
Absolutely.
registry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really hard for me to look at that and go, "Oh yeah, that was just a lapse in judgment. He really just wanted the kids to sleep." Bull fucking shit. But again, you really have to wonder if his family is looking back at other times where
Yeah.
he made them a smoothie. He
Hmm.
had 5 bottles of this stuff. 5 bottles. I mean,
Yeah.
5 prescription bottles of it. Why did he have so much? I'm guessing this was a prescription that he was taking.
But was he saving it up for a
Right.
purpose?
And
What
what was
was the
else was he
plan
doing with
here?
it? Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, yikes.
So I'm very proud of the girls and I'm glad he at least got a sentence. I agree that he could have been more, but there you have it.
I do wonder if there are other people going, wait a minute. I remember
Surely.
a time when, you know?
Yeah, or somebody who's also slept over at their house another time or yeah. Surely
Or
there's
if
other
his
people in their
daughter
world. Yeah.
is like, wait a minute, I remember waking up feeling real gross a couple times. Like, what? Because you know this was for super bad
Right. I mean, can
purposes.
you imagine uh yeah, being in that family and thinking this? It makes me think about the dentist's wife in Colorado, the murder case that we're continually following that's just been kind of quiet.
Yeah, Daniel Craig.
Yeah, that he had drugged her lots of times in their marriage. Lots of times. Imagine having a spouse that thinks they have the right to drug you when they want you to do something.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, Corey Richins. Oh,
Yeah.
yikes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have come forward? Well, it makes you wonder, though, San Willow, if they didn't realize it. And now they're
Mhm.
looking at this situation going, wait a minute. You know,
Mhm.
just makes you wonder.
And
It
it's
seems like
possible
as
that they did.
prepared,
Mhm.
right, as prepared as he was, it makes me think this was not his first time to do this.
Yeah.
And why did he move that girl on the bed?
Right. That's really creepy. Yeah.
Why was he touching a sleeping child that is not his
Yeah.
own?
Yeah.
Or at
Very,
all?
very weird. Yep.
Yikes.
Josephina said, I believe that the wife or ex wife, I believe she's the ex wife now or en route to be, and daughter will never have contact with him again. I suspect that's true. Yeah. I
Oh,
feel like
hell
this,
yes.
the hammer has come down bigly. He
Yeah.
might not only be in prison for 2 years, but he's
He's
screwed.
lost his family, but Jesus, that
Mm-hmm.
just means he's out there who's paying attention after he's out.
Mm-hmm. And somebody
Lots
else
of
will
you are
marry
saying,
him. Yeah.
I know, that's the problem. Lots of
Yeah.
you in the chat are saying that this is why you don't let your kids sleep over at other people's houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
When
is
we
a
were
scary
kids
thought.
in the summertime, our friends lived at our house. We lived at their houses. There was
Yeah,
a sleepover at someone's house practically every night. And a
right?
lot of times was outside on the trampoline in our yard,
Mm-hmm.
our unfenced yard. Like that was just normal. And now I'm
Right.
like, oh my God. I would have to
Yeah,
like know that family personally before my kids would ever be sleeping there.
yeah. I hope so
Yeah.
too, Kathy, but it does not sound like from what he pled guilty to that he'll have to register as anything.
No, it's not a sex crime. There's no sex crimes associated.
Mm,
Yep. They're essentially they're drug crimes. Yeah.
they are, but man,
Mhm.
yikes. Well, I'm glad at least this gets his daughter away from him,
Mhm.
and people who know him are now aware of who he is.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't
For
be at all
sure.
surprised if this is not the only time we hear this guy's name.
Oh, me neither. But I wonder if others have kind of gone, yep, that probably happened to me, that either didn't come forward or did, but it happened long enough ago that there's just no proof, And so prosecutors
Right.
are probably like, yep, that sucks and he sucks. But there's probably nothing else they could do because you would need
Right.
probably, that toxicology to be able to prove it. Yep.
I would imagine so, yeah.
It's a
Whew.
good question,
Wow.
Meg. Meg said, "Do you guys think there are more creeps than there were back in the day, or do you think that it's just more widely known that creeps are everywhere now?" I think it's just more widely known,
I do too.
personally. Yeah.
Reporting is better. The internet has made knowledge of these things so much more accessible.
Yeah.
I think now creeps do less behind the scenes. They do less in
Mhm.
the dark
Yep.
because people bring light to it. And fortunately, that one girl, she knew something was weird and wouldn't drink it, and probably saved the other girls and
Mhm.
herself
Yeah.
by doing that. But it's because this kind of
Mhm.
information is out there that kids are
Mhm.
smarter about these things than we would have
Mhm.
been.
Yeah.
We would have just blindly trusted the parents of anybody, of any of our friends.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally.
We
Of course, our mom
really
was
had
pretty
no.
discerning, though, to be fair. Our mom was pretty discerning. There were
She
places we weren't
was.
allowed to go, and
That's true.
sleepovers we were
That is
definitely
true.
not allowed to have. But our close
Mhm.
friends, and they were all people in our neighborhood too, but
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Right. It wasn't safe then either. Most definitely because back then, even when we were kids, I mean, a lot of this stuff just went unreported. Nobody told anybody.
Mhm.
I mean, we grew up in a community and in a religion that hides these kinds of things.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now that they're being brought to light, I mean, it's so
Mhm.
much better now. But I think that creeps like this have been around forever.
Yeah. Melody said it wasn't safe then either. Anyone that stayed the night at our house was not safe, so I never invited my friends. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
Melody. Yeah.
I had a weird experience staying at a friend's house one time. I got a really bad headache and I wasn't feeling well, and I asked to go home. And my friend's mom wouldn't let me go home. She was a nurse,
Mhm.
and she gave me a Tylenol 3.
Whew.
It's a Tylenol with a narcotic in it. I'd never had a medication like that before. I remember being very drugged and finally getting home the next day and my mom being absolutely fucking furious that she
Mhm.
gave me that pill.
Yeah.
Um
And wouldn't let you go
so
home. Can you
yeah,
imagine it
and wouldn't
having
let
a
me go
kid at
home.
your house
There
who
was
wants to
more
go
than one
home?
time that she wouldn't let me go home. My best friend's
Mhm.
older sister beat me up one time at their house.
Yes.
And we were laying on her bed using her phone to make prank phone calls. We were using her phone. And we had made chocolate chip cookies. So we're laying on the older sister's bed, using her phone, eating the chocolate chip cookies, and the older sister came in, and my friend got away, and the big sister pummeled the shit out of me, beat me up. Like I had
Yeah.
marks, beat me up,
Mhm.
and her mom would not let me go home that time too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess maybe I kind of have had this experience.
Right?
Scary.
I can't imagine. I was lucky, I think, because my two best friends, their parents just treated you like they were yours. I can remember a few times when my best friend Emily's mom would go to the store or something and just come home with Happy Meals for everyone for lunch. And if I'd already gone home, they'd bring it to my house and be like, "Here's your lunch. You left before we could give it to you." They were
Yeah,
amazing.
they were.
But I
That's
know
true.
that not everyone had that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Belinda, thank you for that. Yes, actually, I did hear about that Tom Evans is looking for someone to help him produce his audiobook. I think we got my contact information to him.
We did pass
So
it
we'll
along.
see.
Yep.
Tom,
Yeah.
if you're listening, I would love to produce your audiobook.
Yeah,
And
for
anyone
sure.
else who's looking to produce an audiobook, I'd love to work with anybody. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, back in the day, no one listened to children. And that is true. I
Mhm.
mean, we're definitely seeing a trend where people do listen to kids more now
Definitely.
about abusive things that happen.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's very true. That our mom was more she did listen to children.
She did.
She was kind of in hindsight kind of a visionary, in our
She
time.
was before her time in a lot of ways in our
Mhm.
in where we grew up anyway.
Mhm. Yeah. All righty. Well, so that's that. So I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for our main case.
Yes. So our main case today is the case of Bionca Ellis. You've probably seen this
Mhm.
in the news. This is Bionca, right here. And yeah, that's the face she made in court.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shoot, my picture's missing. Let's see. Um, so on June 3rd, uh, Bionca stole um, she stole a couple of knives from a thrift store. And then she went next door and followed a woman and this woman's little boy around in the grocery store. And then when the woman walked out to, sorry, I'm missing my picture of the victim here, and I wanted to get it up. When the woman walked out of the grocery store, pushing her 3-year-old in um, this grocery cart, she walked up to them. She stabbed the little boy twice. He was 3 years old, and as mom is trying to get him away, she stabs mom in the shoulder as well. And unfortunately, this little boy was killed. He died from his injuries. And this is a picture of him. His last name is Wood. Sorry. Where's his first name? Oh, Julian, right. Julian Wood. It was a very senseless crime. It was unprovoked. It was seemingly pretty damn random.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you her arraignment hearing, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Bionca Ellis and kind of what we know about her now. This is all very new. This only happened 10 days ago, so things are rolling out pretty quickly. But let's watch this arraignment hearing with her and her public defender.
Going back to case number 692604, Bionca Ellis.
Heroin.
Hello, Ms. Ellis. Do you have an attorney? You do? Do you have the money or means to hire an attorney? Have you received your indictment? Okay. Have you read it? You have not read it. Okay. We have a copy here. You can read it. You don't want to read it. Are you willing to accept that the public defender has read it to you? I'm sorry. You asked her not to. Well, but she did read it to you, correct? She didn't read it to you. Okay, well, we can read it in open court. I can find it. Okay. It's a 10-count indictment. Count 1 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did purposely and with prior calculation and design cause the death of J.W. 10/29/2020. The state of Ohio reserves the right to seek a superseding indictment containing the appropriate 2929.04a aggravating circumstances specifications. And so you understand that means the state is reserving its right to add a death penalty specification. Count 2 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, that the defendant did purposely cause the death of J.W. 10/29/2020. Count 3 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did cause the death of J.W., date of birth 10/29/2020, as a proximate result of the offender committing or attempting to commit an offense of violence that is a felony of the first or second degree, to wit, felonious assault, Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.11A1, and or endangering children in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2919.22B2. Count 4 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did knowingly cause serious physical harm to JW on date of birth 10/29/2020. Count 5 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did torture or cruelly abuse JW, date of birth 10/29/2020, a child under 18 years of age, and furthermore, the violation resulted in serious physical harm to JW, date of birth 10/29/2020. Count 6 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did attempt to purposely cause the death of Margot Wood. Count 7 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did attempt to cause the death of Margot Wood as a proximate result of the offender committing or attempting to commit an offense of violence. It is a felony of the first or second degree, to wit, felonious assault, Ohio Revised Code Section 2901.11A1. Count 8 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did knowingly cause serious physical harm to Margot Wood. Count 9 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did, knowing that an official proceeding or investigation was in progress or was about to be or likely to be instituted, alter, destroy, conceal, or remove any record, document, or thing with the purpose to impair its value or availability as evidence in such proceeding or investigation. Count 10 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did with purpose to deprive the owner, Volunteers of America store, of property or services, to wit, knives, knowingly obtain or exert control over either the property or services without the consent of the owner or the person authorized to give consent. I have now read the indictment to you. Do you wish to enter a plea of not guilty?
C.
Pardon me?
C.
What's same mean? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I understand the victims are represented and they want to make a comment before I set bond. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Could you start with your name?
My name is Jared Wood, father of the deceased, husband of Margot. Your Honor, that day, 1 week ago, she took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son, or anything that my wife and I, or even our other kids, are going through. It's horrendous. I really wish no bail, period, or extend it to the max limit possible that you can, at the very least. Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind the bars.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else you would like to say?
That'll be it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there anything else before I pronounce bond?
Your Honor, we would just ask that you consider assigning the Public Defender's Office, recognizing this is not our number. We did represent her at the first appearance unit. I did meet with her on Friday. We have had contact with her family and begun working on the case. Thank you, Your Honor.
When the original bond was set out of Muni Court, the bond was set at $1 million, and it was before the passing of one of the alleged victims. I do not believe that bond is appropriate given the change in circumstances and the allegations that are contained in this indictment. Bond is set at $5 million, cash, surety, or property. GPS, no contact with any surviving victim or victim's family. DNA order. Judges John Russo, pretrial June 17th at 9 a.m. I'll assign counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You want me to sign this?
Okay. Whew.
Jesus.
we gotta unpack this. So there was an earlier part of this hearing. I didn't share it because it was just really boring, but it was her like in the jail room with an officer next to her, and the judge is trying to get her to respond to see if she understands what's happening, if she understands what she's being charged with. She just looks down like this the whole time and won't respond, then kind of gets up and wanders around for a minute, then sits down, and then the only thing she will say to the judge is thank you. Every time the judge says anything, she just says thank you again. And she was arguing with her public defender right there. We couldn't really hear it, but we could see it, because she was going to say no, that she had not read the indictment, and that the public defender had not read it to her, except that the judge actually ordered the public defender to go read it to her before this hearing. And yet she still would not admit that she had, in fact, had it read to her. So then they did it again. Yeah, she wouldn't speak out loud. She was only whispering or mouthing all of her words.
Yeah.
In the earlier hearing, the public defender acknowledges that she is already a client of theirs on a different case, and that she appears to be off her meds. She had only been out of jail for 3 days when this incident happened. It was a probation violation relating to theft. Petty theft seems to be a thing that she has a history of doing. And so she had been released 3 days prior. Before that, she's had some weird, there's been some weird shit going on with her.
Yeah.
So, before all of this occurred, she had an incident in Bakersfield, California in January. She was arrested at a hospital where she was accused of punching and kicking security guards and refusing to leave after she had been discharged from the hospital. The police officer that she spoke to there told her that she needed to be, she told them she needed to be taken to jail. And she said she needed to stay in jail for at least 2 weeks. I think we can clearly understand that Bionca Ellis is seriously mentally ill. And this is not the first time, well, this is not the only time that she has asked to be arrested. So then in March, she shows up in Kissimmee, Florida, whatever. She was arrested on trespassing.
Wow.
And
how is she getting around?
I'm gonna guess the bus.
Okay.
Is my guess. I don't know for sure, but I would guess that I'll tell you what that means in a minute. But she tried to rent a hotel room but didn't have any money for it in Florida.
Okay.
And the police were called. She said she was on vacation from Ohio and that she wanted to go to jail. She didn't have anywhere to go.
Wow.
And was asking to go to jail. So then in May, she was picked up by the police for a probation violation because she didn't show, because when she was out off in other states, she didn't show up for court. So she had a bench warrant.
Yeah.
So the police arrested her and she was held briefly. The judge, who was under fire, which I think is not fair. You cannot predict. There was no indication in her hearing that this was going to happen by any means. The judge said, well, she was picked up for this, not for failure to appear. It was a misdemeanor charge, and he released her because there was no indication that she was violent at the time of that hearing. And then 3 days later, she committed this crime. I'm going to guess a few things about her, and these are just things that I guessed from my own experience working in the mental health system as a social worker. Her traveling around to various states is likely that it's really unfortunately called bus therapy. When one community decides they're done with someone, often a mentally ill, homeless type situation, they put them on a bus and they send them somewhere else.
Yep.
Because she was in California, she was in Ohio, then she was in California, then she was in Florida, and then she was back in Ohio. Somewhere she's getting shipped around. Right. She figures jail is better than homelessness. Also, I would bet that at times she knows there's something wrong with her.
Yeah.
Things are not going right for her. She knows something
Hmm.
is wrong and she doesn't know what to do about it. So getting arrested means that she's in a safe place, that she's safe, that other people are safe. I don't know. It's an absolutely gut wrenchingly sad
Oh,
situation. I don't want to, what I'm saying here is not an excuse for her behavior at all,
no.
but it is, I've seen it before in folks with a very severe, persistent mental illness who are
Yeah.
struggling to stay on their medication. Um, and she's been traveling around, not on any meds. And
Hmm.
these are the things that happen, unfortunately.
But this seems like it's her first violent crime.
Well, she was kicking and punching a security guard in that hospital in California.
That's true. Okay.
So there has been at least that, but she doesn't actually have any charges on her criminal record that are anything other than like petty theft
Petty
and
theft. Yeah.
trespassing. You know,
Yeah.
this was not a there was not a lot of foreshadowing that she would then go to murder.
No. Mm-mm.
She's not in her right mind. The way that she looks, the way that
Oh,
she's
yeah.
grinning and looking around and stuff, she's responding to things that the rest of us cannot see or hear.
Definitely.
At one point earlier in that earlier hearing, when she's just looking down, she says, "Where is that coming from?" And it's when the judge is speaking to her. And she doesn't. I think she didn't understand that she was on like a video hearing.
Hmm. Right.
So it's a bad deal. It's a terrible deal.
Oh,
And
it's just
clearly
horrific.
if she's got this propensity for violence, yes, you know, she's got to be
Yeah.
kept out of the community. And you know, the problem with folks like Bianca is that we do not have a good system for making sure that someone like her stays on her medication.
No.
We don't have a good system to make sure that her medication is provided to her and
Yeah.
also that she has access to it, she has somewhere
Hmm.
to live, and that she stays on her meds.
Yeah. And yeah, no, the US definitely does not take mental health seriously.
No,
Absolutely. Yep.
no. And we don't have any kind of structure set up,
Hmm.
really, other
Yeah.
than mostly the jails and the prisons and
Yep.
a few state hospitals that are still not the answer.
Yeah. Paula asked if there's an insanity plea in Ohio. Yes, I looked it up. There
Hmm.
is.
I'm sure that they'll be looking at that. She does not
Hmm.
to appear to be in her right mind now.
Yeah.
You know, I doubt that she was then either.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a big challenge because you really come up against uh, adult rights laws that
Hmm.
say that, you know, unless you do something really horrible, the government cannot force you to be medicated. They
Right.
can now because of this
Hmm.
and because of what she's done and the way that it's happened. She likely will be forced medicated at some point because
Hmm.
could very well be dangerous in jail.
Yeah.
And maybe she isn't too. One of the things that we've learned is that folks with severe and persistent mental illness like this, um, they respond really well to structure. So they actually do quite well in
Hmm.
jails and prisons because there's someone setting boundaries for them that they cannot set for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just heartbroken for Julian's family, for
Oh, it's
Julian's mom who's
horrifying.
injured. I mean, it's awful.
Hmm. It is. One of our listeners had left a comment that lives near there, and I just wanted
Ah,
to share that because this was from yesterday, but I think this is a great illustration of how the community is responding. They said, looking forward to your Julian Wood coverage. This happened 10 minutes from my home. His funeral
mm-hmm.
procession came through our town, and everyone came out with their green shirts, balloons, and dinosaurs to show respect.
Oh wow.
They also said, I was over there yesterday, and from the Starbucks across the street, you can see that they have the spot marked off, and it's become a memorial. Green balloons and dinosaurs. Yeah,
Wow.
because he loved balloons, or I'm sorry, he loved dinosaurs and he loved green.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I mean, this is the picture that's been circulating of him everywhere, and there he is in green. Last day of preschool, May 29th, 2024.
Oh,
That's just so sad.
it's
That
just
poor family.
unthinkable.
But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, she literally was asking to be put in jail.
Mhm.
That tells us a lot about
Mhm.
what's going on with her. And I get that her facial expressions are horrific, but what they say to me is that what is happening in her mind is not what we are seeing.
Yep. Yep. Bonafide had pointed out Lori Vallow acted in a similar fashion. Exactly.
She did, yes.
That one trip to court where court TV had the camera on her face the whole time,
Hmm.
and she was laughing and giggling and staring off into space and looking over here and there, and they're talking about her murdered son, and people were so angry. Like, she thinks this is funny. She's
No,
bananas.
she was reacting to things that weren't even that we no one else could see.
Yeah.
She was hallucinating, and I think that that's probably true in this case as well.
Mhm.
So very sad.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about advocacy for mental health and being aware of that when these incidents happen, that it is a time to again evaluate our mental health system and how Bianca has slipped through multiple
Mhm.
times. But the reason she's slipping through is because she's leaving a state to go to another state to go to another state. Well,
Mhm.
how did that happen? Where did the money come from? How was she transported?
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, a lot of places just want to get rid of somebody like Bianca and not
Yeah.
recognize that somebody has to step in and help her, or she could become a serious danger to society, as we just saw.
Mhm.
It's really, really sad.
This reminds me of a case that happened here in, I think, 2016. A woman who had schizophrenia and had 3 children that her parents were raising, her parents had custody of, and she had moved to Montana
Hmm.
and had seemingly been doing well. She was medicated and was doing well, and at some point went off of her meds and got it in her head that they were trying to murder her children. So she drove from Montana here to Rexburg and walked through the front door and shot and killed her dad right in the living room, right in front of her kids, just instantly,
Yeah.
without any, and then just turned around, got in her car, and drove away. Didn't
Yeah.
take the kids, didn't hurt her mom, who was in the back room. Uh, so, of course, the police were called. She was picked up. She was taken to jail. She was just like this. And they put her in the state mental hospital for a little bit to try and get her stable. And when they stabilized her and explained to her what she had done, she was absolutely devastated, absolutely
Yeah.
devastated, and pled guilty and is now in prison forever. And she should be, because she's not safe, obviously, to society. But it happened just that fast, just like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can. I mean,
Hmm.
when the police caught Bianca, she was just walking down the street
Yeah.
carrying the knife she had used. Like
Yeah.
she
Not trying to
wasn't
hide
tr-
it.
she was not trying to hide her crime.
Mm-mm.
This was not. Yeah, awful.
Yep. Very, very sad. Well, so much love to the Wood family and everyone who this little guy touched, because I'm sure there was a lot more than his family. His whole community is just gutted.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
So so sad. So we will keep an eye on this. I'm going to imagine competency is going to be assessed right away. That there will probably be a hospitalization in this gal's future because she's not probably well enough to stand trial at this point. So we shall see.
Yeah,
And with that, Katie, you have some a crime news update for us.
I do. I'm going to give you a blast from the true crime past
Mm.
and see. Let's see. Your pictures and mine got mixed up a little bit. Let me see if I can get mine
Ah,
up. Okay. We're getting there. I think our tech has been a little bit problematic today, but we're getting there. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Anybody remember this fool? This is Pamela Smart. Pamela Smart was a media tech at a school where back in 1990 she was 22 years old and she
Mm-hmm.
was having what continues to be called an affair or a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old boy. So let's clear that up real fast. She was sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy who
Right.
was a student at the school where she was working. I am so very tired of the media doing this. When adults are having sex with children, they are not having a relationship or an
Right.
affair or any of that. They are sexually assaulting a child, and that is what Pamela Smart was doing. This is her victim. His name
Mm-hmm.
is William Flynn. You might know him more as Billy Flynn.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1990, Pamela convinced Billy Flynn, with the help of a few friends, to break into her condo and murder her husband. They'd only been married a little less than a year. But I guess divorce or even annulment wasn't an option for Pamela.
I
Instead,
don't know,
murder.
man. She's nuts. That's all I know about her.
Yeah. So let's run quickly through the timeline. So, of course, this happened in 1990. It happened on May 1st, and they murdered Greg Smart, of course, Pamela's husband. And then on August 1st, she was arrested. It took a little time for them to put it all together, but on August 1st, she was arrested and charged as an accessory. And then in January of 1991, there was a trial. So Billy Flynn and two accomplices, Patrick Randall and Vance Latimer, were also charged, had been charged. They all pled guilty. So all the boys pled guilty immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And they had, it looks like they pled down to second degree murder, and they are all out now. Billy, in fact, I think got out in 2015, and he was in the longest. So they've all been out for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, on March 4th, 1991, oral arguments started in Smart's trial because, of course, she was pleading not guilty and she had no idea they were going to do such a thing. Too bad there wasn't uh, text messaging at the time, right? But
Right. I know now. Can you imagine how different that would be
mhm.
with today's technology?
But big surprise, there was a life insurance policy. You guys will die. It was $140,000
Oh my gosh.
back in
Wow.
1990. That was plenty enough, I guess, to have your
Right.
husband murdered.
Yeah.
So, of course, it took forever, but she was, of course, found guilty. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Mm-hmm.
And then the appeals started, and she has appealed this case into oblivion. She was at first, this happened in New Hampshire, and at first she was in prison in New Hampshire, but she got her ass whipped too many times, and they had to do some reconstructive surgery on her face for what one of the inmates did to her. And so then they
Mm.
moved her to Bedford Hills in New York, where she has lived ever since. She has tried
Wow.
multiple times in every way possible to find a way to get out of prison, and all of those things have failed. But she has never, and I do mean ever, taken any kind of responsibility at all until now. And a few days ago, a video was released of her. Well, you guys can decide. Is she taking responsibility? Let's watch it and then we'll talk about it.
My name is Pamela Smart. I've been incarcerated since 1990. I was convicted of being an accomplice to murder, and I'm serving a life sentence without any possibility for parole. I've been incarcerated in New York State for nearly 32 years, and I was previously in New Hampshire for 2.5 years. I think I was incarcerated about at least 8 or 9 years at Bedford Hills, so probably 10 years into my incarceration before I got into Eve's group, Eve Ensler's writing group. And in that group was where I began, to dig deeper into my own responsibility. I always thought that I was going to a deep place, as we all did in the group. And she would pressure us and encourage us to go beyond into spaces that we didn't want to be in. For me, that was really hard because going into those places, in those spaces is where I found myself responsible for something I desperately didn't want to be responsible for. My husband's murder. I had to acknowledge for the first time in my own, mind and my own heart how responsible I was, because I had deflected blame all the time. I think almost as if it was a coping mechanism, because the truth of being so responsible was very difficult for me, because I'm not a person that went through life hurting other people. And it was a space that was very uncomfortable for me and something that was new. Now that I am older and able to look back on things, I can see so many errors that I made, and I can see how skewed my judgment was and how immature I was looking backwards. I'm such a different person than I was. I'm more thoughtful before, I think things through before I make decisions, and less impulsive, and just more responsible and mature than I was back then. I mean, it's 34 years is a very long time. And during that time, I've done a lot of work on myself and a lot of spiritual work, and just had a big growth in who I am and how I deal with things and people. I'm respectfully asking for the opportunity to come before you, the New Hampshire Executive Council, and have an honest conversation with you about my incarceration, my acceptance of responsibility, and any concerns you might have, any questions. If I could come in person or via video conference so that we could share an honest conversation, I would be extremely grateful for that.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
The entire point of this, she's already tried this once before to get commutation from Governor Sununu, and it was denied. So this is yet another attempt so that she can potentially get the parole board to let her out. To her credit, I will say that she has, since she's been in prison, she has quite a few achievements as far as education. She is a pastor that has quite the following that she preaches to on Sunday mornings. And I think she should stay exactly where she's at. You know why?
Yeah.
Because she's a pedophile. And that's
Yes.
something that's not even being discussed. All we're talking
Right?
about is
Like,
the murder. And the murder's terrible, don't get me wrong. I mean, R.I.P. Greg, horrible what happened to him. But her manipulation, her potential to hurt others, her willingness to let her husband of 1 year be murdered so that she could get the money. And was she ever going to stay with this little boy? No, of course she wasn't. She was manipulating
this was
him.
all a game.
but she was having a sexual relationship with a child. She wasn't charged for that. She wasn't convicted for that. This is all about the murder. And I have to keep falling back on that because this is what actually happened. So I don't know. To
Yeah.
me, that fell very flat.
Well, how in any way do we think that she is not a risk to children
Yeah.
going into the community, you know?
Yeah.
Very interestingly, when she said Eve Ensler, I was like, wait a minute. Eve Ensler wrote the Vagina Monologues, if you've ever
Mhm.
seen them. She's a very famous playwright and writer, and she apparently did this writing group with women, several of whom were convicted of murder and other things,
Mhm.
and has won some awards and some film awards for the documentary about it, and,
Yeah.
you know, for the work that she has done. Because I was like, wait a minute, that's a very famous name. But yeah, so Ms. Smart here is one of several women that were in Eve Ensler's writing group.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that was just very interesting. But
Yeah.
again, what kind of privilege has she got? That she got
Right.
moved to Bedford, which is an easier prison than what she'd been
Mhm.
in. You know, that she got to be in this writing group. There were only 15 women in that group, you guys.
Right.
How did this fool get in there?
Right.
She's had a lot of privilege as far as
She
I'm
still
concerned.
does. I mean, uh she's got her hair done, she's groomed, she's manicured, she's
Yeah, look at her. Does she
wearing
look like
fancy
she's in
lady
prison for
clothes.
murder?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
yes, the boy
Risking
she
those
was
boys' lives.
yeah. And yes,
Mm.
somebody asked, is this the same boy? Yeah, the boy that she was in a sexual relationship, uh and his friends are the ones that murdered her husband. Yeah. Yep.
Right, she was a drama teacher. Yeah, you can
Mhm.
see it in her. She's got this ability to come across really well.
Yeah.
But who's to say that
Yep.
she's any less a danger to the community now than she was then?
Right. For sure.
Yikes.
And she took
Oy.
responsibility for what? That's what let's see, Paula said, and I agree. What did she take responsibility for in that video? What exactly?
She didn't really come right out and say exactly what she did.
No. No. And that to me says it all.
Yeah. Wow.
That's not responsibility at all. And everywhere you look, that's what we're saying. She's finally accepting responsibility. And maybe that's the maximum she's got in her. But if I'm the governor looking at that, I'm going, so you just want out real bad? And so finally,
Yeah.
after 35 years, you're finally saying, okay, yeah, maybe I had something to do with it. But she didn't really say that at all.
No, she didn't. And she certainly didn't take responsibility for molesting that young boy.
No. No.
And she destroyed that kid's life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he was in prison, and one of the friends was in prison, clear until 2015. And the other friend, I think, was in prison until 2014. There was another friend involved, too, that did some time. I mean, not only that, her best friend knew the plan and finally fessed up to police and wore a wire. But this wasn't even careful.
No.
It's so blatant and so glaring.
So willing to sacrifice those kids' lives for her to get what she wanted.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sick, man. She needs to stay right where she is.
I agree. When I watched that, I went, I'm sorry, that's not contrition to me. But also, sorry about it. You were 22. You were adulty enough to be a teacher at a school.
Mm-hmm.
Life without parole is life without parole.
Right.
It's not like this was a crime that was an accident. It's not like this is a crime that she was over-sentenced for. It's not.
No, not at all. Murder for hire is top of the list.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, Vicky. She has not accepted any responsibility for killing her husband nor for sexually assaulting that child. That's just not even a conversation.
Right.
I seriously doubt she sees herself as a sex offender. I seriously doubt that's even, it's obviously not the way she's been treated. She's been treated as a murderer. which is bad enough, obviously, but the fact that she's never really been treated like a sex offender bothers me so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gross.
And yes, the girl who wore a wire that was her friend was a child as well, was also under 18.
Oh my
What the
God.
hell was going on at this school?
Yeah.
You just have teachers canoodling with the kids and being best friends with the kids, and
It just says everything about what kind of a predator she is.
yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, I don't know. In my personal opinion, stay put.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We don't need any more of this. There's been a real spate of it again lately,
Yeah.
of teachers having, sexually abusing students,
Yeah.
and even younger than this one. This kid was 15. There have been several lately where the kids are like 11, 12.
Oh, yeah.
It's unreal.
And it seems like more often than not, it's women.
It is.
Yeah. And I still think the press frequently gets it wrong. I think frequently as a society we get it wrong, especially when it's teenage boys. People are just like, "Oh, well, look at you," like this is
Right,
some
like
kind of
it's
feather in this kid's
something to-
cap.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
is child sexual abuse. It still very much is. Do you guys follow EIC, Education and Crime, on TikTok? She covers tons of these cases.
Mm-hmm.
She's covering tons of them. She's doing
Mhm.
a really good job.
Yes, she's awesome.
'Cause
She's
she
also
is
funny
herself
as
a
hell.
teacher. Oh,
Yeah.
she's hilarious. And she's a teacher, and so she's so incensed by
By
this
these
kind of
kinds
shit.
of cases. Yeah. Yep. Right, exactly. Lion said women have gotten away with it longer because that's what every boy wants, right? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it any less predatory and damaging to that kid, though. It is very.
Absolutely. That was Mary Kay Letourneau, Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. After she got out of jail, married the kid. Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a couple more kids, and now they're divorced. And God, it's so fucked up. So fucked up.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Awful.
got Garth Daybell vibes, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does.
Mm.
Deanna said, my middle school science teacher kidnapped a student and hid her in a plastic bin because they were, heavy mark means air quotes, in a relationship affair. Yeah. She said it's infuriating they call it that. Yeah. Because
Oh,
that's
it
not
pisses
what
me
it
off.
is.
No, this is child sexual abuse. Then grooming a teacher, a person in authority,
Yeah.
grooming a minor.
Yeah, Mary Kay Letourneau died. I think that's correct, Kathy. I was thinking that. Didn't she have cancer? I think that's Right,
I think
yeah.
you're right about that. Yeah.
that was sticking in my head too. Yeah. Yep. No
Wow.
bueno. Well, I was curious to see
Whew.
if you guys were as turned off by that as I was. I was trying not to foreshadow it too much because
Ugh.
I thought it sucked.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to do what she wants it to do by any means.
I doubt it. Yep.
Alrighty, well, this is our Thursday episode, which means we will be back on Monday with some more great content. We have put out, this is our fourth show
Yeah.
this week. If you haven't seen the other three, go check them out. They're all up on our YouTube and on all of our podcast streams as well. Next week on Wednesday, after case updates, will be our watch party. So we'll be announcing early in the week next week what episode of what show we're going to be watching on Netflix. I think it's my turn to pick. Isn't it? No, I picked last time. No, you picked.
No, I think I picked. Yeah.
You did. It's my turn to pick. I have a couple of things in mind, so I will let you
Okay.
know what we're going to do.
I'm
But
excited.
in the meantime, have an awesome weekend. Take good care of
Yes.
yourselves. Get a break from, all this stuff. Get outside if you can. Have some fun. Do some laughing. Those things are really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, definitely do that. There's lots of great content over there as well, and we have more coming this month. You can always support us in lots of different ways by going to truecrimesquad.com as well as just like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things that help us to continue to grow. We appreciate all of you who've been here live with us in the chat. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun to have you present with us. If you're here after the fact, we appreciate you too. We love it when you make comments and let us know what you think of what we're talking about. We watch those things very closely.
And come hang out in the Discord. I'm sure it'll be
Yes.
hopping all weekend.
It will be. If you haven't joined yet, go to truecrimesquad.com. There's a link there to join our Discord. And come join us. We're having a great time over there. Well, everybody, you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.